Wow, we've got several hundred people from the East Coast to the West Coast on the call tonight. This is exciting. You guys are in for a treat. My name is Nikki Cannon. I'm Executive Marketing Director here in Los Angeles, California. And I have the honor and the privilege of introducing you guys to our company a little bit, as well as to our two guest speakers this evening. So I want you guys to take this next few moments that you're on with us tonight, and I want you to really have a stop and think moment. I want you to stop washing the dishes and stop doing the homework with the kids, and I want you to take a moment to really kind of absorb what you're going to hear in these next few minutes from these amazing speakers. I can remember when I heard the exact same thing that you're about to hear not that long ago, and I can remember being at my job. I graduated from USC. I worked at Monster.com, and I can remember hearing this exact story, and I can remember thinking to myself, my goodness, this is an opportunity where I can potentially completely rewrite my life and design my life and change my destiny. And I had always wondered, how was it that I was ever going to be able to get out of working my job, having an hour and a half commute, not being able to see my family, not being able to make the kind of income, having typical debt, car loans, school loans, credit card debt. I just wanted to get to the next level. And so when I heard the story that you guys are about to hear, the light bulb went on, and it started in my head. It made sense, and then it went to my heart. So you're going to hear tonight about our company. You're going to hear about our crusade. You're going to hear about the difference that we're making in communities. You're going to hear about what I believe is the #1 part-time and full-time business opportunity in the United States of America today. And you're also going to get a chance to hear about our amazing company. So what we've done with our company, Transamerica World Financial Group, we've completely revolutionized the industry. And I, for one, know what that means, because when I was working at my job at Monster.com in the late 90s, I was part of the .com internet perfect storm. And so what you're experiencing right now, what we're experiencing right now in financial services is that perfect storm. This is the right place at the right time, in the right industry, in the right economy, with the right products, with the right leadership, with everything in place to create a perfect storm for you to be able to go out and design your life. How would you like to have what I like to call a work optional lifestyle? Which means that, I work when I need to and when I want to, but if I got to be with my family, if I need to be with my kids, I've been homeschooling, a lot of you guys have been homeschooling these last few weeks, and it's no joke. But because of this business opportunity, not only was I homeschooling and doing it effectively, but I went out and made over $50,000 in the month of April, right from my home, from my computer. I have my computer and I have my phone, and it's work optional time. So you have an opportunity tonight to really, really, really take advantage of something exciting. So let me introduce our next two speakers, you guys, that are going to kind of go over the perfect storm with you in financial services. The first one, his name is Paul Hart. He's an executive vice chairman with our company. He's been with our company over 16 years now, but what's more important than that is that he came from humble beginnings. He was a mechanic when he got started here with WFG. He started on a part-time basis. And like many of you, he was looking for something bigger, something better, something with more options. He figured, if I'm going to pour my blood, sweat, and tears into working, we're all going to work hard. But he figured, if I'm going to pour my blood, sweat, and tears into something, why not it be my own thing? Why not it be something I could pass down and hand down generationally to my children? So started part-time and took this business by storm. Now he's over a $750,000, that's $750,000 earner, quickly on his way to $1 million this year. He's got multiple brokers, multiple CEOs, and just thousands of individuals that he's worked with and mentored, but more importantly, thousands of families that he's been able to help and change and make a difference in their lives. Married to his wonderful wife, Gabby, and their 2 kids, and lives an amazing lifestyle in San Jose, California. I'm super excited for you to meet him tonight. And then our second speaker this evening is my personal mentor, Dan Charlier. Dan is an immigrant from Haiti. Immigrated here from Haiti when he was just 9 years old with his mom Jackie. And, his mom worked 14, 16 hours a day. And when Dan graduated high school, he was like, you know what, I just want to help my mom. So he entered the Marine Corps, and he became a drill sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, was very successful at that. So successful that he entered the Color Guard and carried the colors for 2 presidents in Washington, D.C. at the White House. But he decided one day he met a mentor who really changed his life, made a difference. And just like he's made a huge difference in my life. And he's invested an enormous amount of time in not only myself and doing well, but in my team also. And what I can appreciate him is that he's not only a great person in business, he's over $1 million earner with our company, but more importantly than that, he's got a He's got a life that's very fulfilled. He believes in being successful in all areas, not just business. He believes that money brings you options, and money brings you options and the ability to have a balanced life spiritually, as well as with amazing life with his wife. He's got 6 kids, and he does it all with grace and with style. So you know what, you guys? I'm going to turn it over tonight to our first speaker, Mr. Paul Hart. He's going to tell you a little bit more about our company, who we are, what we do, and the amazing things that we do in the marketplace. So take it away, Paul.
Thank you, Nikki. We appreciate everybody. Good evening and good afternoon, depending on where you're coming from. I don't know if you were on our panel discussion that we had on Sunday, but we had great feedback, and that was a great event, and we're going to continue to do this. But let's kick it off. I mean, this is the only business I've ever been privy to be introduced to. And we're going to start it off with a slideshow here. But I've never been in business before. When I started, I was like everybody else. My parents told me to go to school, get good grades, and go get a good job and do what everybody else does. And, you know, that top left picture, I guess I went to high school, but I actually stopped at point number 1. I barely even went to school. I went to school on the days that I wanted to. So just to let you know, I am not the smartest person on this call. It might sound like it, but these are just slides. I just have common sense. But what I found out is that sometimes common sense isn't very common. And I just hope that everybody keeps an open mind and looks at this. And when I went through this whole presentation 16 years ago, it just made a lot of sense. And I had nowhere to go but up. And I just challenge everybody to really, as we're in this COVID-19 situation, just kind of investigate if the next 5 years end up like the last 5 years, are you going to be happy? I think I'm 40 years old. And I think, you know, 40 years of my life of earning an income, obviously all 40 years I haven't earned an income, but just think about this and you can put your age in perspective. 40 years out of my life of earning an income, how many people after 40 days of being on lockdown have a complete disaster going on their hands, right? So we have 40 years of potential economic advancement and 40 days is going to wipe us out. We got to make some changes. And so that's my sister. That's the old school days where you couldn't just delete a picture and start it up again. But that's my amazing sister. And that's me going from public speaking to actually being afraid to public speak to speak in front of thousands of people. And that's my beautiful family there. But if we can get to the next slide. I like she said, I came from humble beginnings. I don't know how many of you drove to the beautiful neighborhoods, the wealthy neighborhoods, and you kind of just sold yourself like, what do these folks do for a living? Because my family works hard, my mom works hard, my dad works hard, but this person's walking out in his robe getting the newspaper. And it's the middle of the day. And I thought, I want to have a lifestyle like that. And never did I go anywhere where they actually said, young man, you want to have a life? You want to have a mentor? You want me to coach you? Nobody ever helped me. As a matter of fact, they would kick me off their property because those were private roads. And when I came to and when I was a mechanic, I would fix cars that I would never be able to own and drive myself. And nobody ever said, young man, would you like to have a car like that? I've never had a mentor. But I was raised by a traditionalist man and a family, old school man, my dad. And, you know, he taught me all the things that, in my opinion, are more valuable than money. How to be a good husband, how to be a good father, how to be honest with people, how to have a great work ethic. And in my opinion, those things are more valuable than money, but that's not the topic of discussion today. The topic of discussion today is economic advancement. And some of us have been here for generations and generations, and we still haven't economically advanced our families. And when I came to this business, they told me to read a book called Think and Grow Rich. And this book, and I didn't even like reading. Remember, I barely even went to school, but I said, you know what, let me go ahead and study what this coach told me to do. And the premise of the book is they analyzed all kind of different people from different walks of life and different backgrounds. And they're all wealthy. And it was, why did these people become wealthy? Hence, the point is think and grow rich. But one of the things that really boiled down to was, if you find a millionaire and you do exactly what he or she does, you're likely to have what he or she has. Assuming they didn't inherit the money, they didn't win the lottery, and they did it honestly and ethically, obviously, right? And if that's the case, who's the first person we learn about money from when we grow up? And I'm sure the answer would be our parents. And to no fault of their own, they did the best that they can. But what if you had parents that didn't have any money? And right now I see it's like the blind leading the blind. And that's why we never advance, because we're learning from somebody who may not have economically advanced, and it becomes the rat race and history repeats itself. And so when I came here, I took a little bit of a direction. I had my dad taught, and my family taught me all the values that I think are important, but where can I learn about business and finance when nobody else was willing to mentor me? And we're offering for select individuals, this is not a guarantee for anybody. This is an opportunity. And that's all I want. Just allow me to work and prove myself. I don't want somebody else to tell me what my family's future is available to them. So consider these questions. Do you know somebody that can benefit from this message? If not you, do you know? Can this information benefit you and your family and your friends financially? And are you intrigued by the business model? Look at it through those sets of eyes. If you happen to know somebody, hopefully you would refer them down to the person that invited you to this evening, or if you yourself, might be the right person. We'd love to have a conversation. Now let's talk about strength on our side, because our company isn't going anywhere. Because as Nikki mentioned, she earned 50 grand in a month, which that was what my goal was for a year prior to coming to this business. And she did it from the comfort of her own home with her own family. So COVID-19 has not affected us. Our incomes have not been quarantined. And we have strength on our side. Aegon is our parent company, and Aegon is the parent company of Transamerica. They've been around a significant amount of time. They're worth $500+ billion in assets. And we're a sister company to Transamerica. I'm up here in Northern California, and that pyramid building is in San Francisco. So if I can get to the next slide. What we do is a little bit different than most because we have strength on our side and strength in selection. So if I worked for Mercedes-Benz, I would probably never tell you that Audi or BMW is better. If I worked for Audi, I would never say that Mercedes-Benz is better. It would be a conflict of interest for me to say so. But what if I had a car lot that had Mercedes, that had BMW, that had Porsche, that had Bentley? All I would say is just take a ride and tell me what's best for you. So rather than representing our company to the clients, what we do is we represent our clients to these companies, and these companies compete with the best products and services that are only generally available to those folks that have those houses on the hills, and we bring them down to mainstream America. You might have heard of Nationwide, Pacific Life, Transamerica, Voya, Everest, and the list goes on and on. Franklin Templeton, Fidelity, a lot of household names. Some of the services we provide: fixed annuities, life insurance, indexed universal life, long-term care, the list goes on and on. If I was to ask a question, how many of us know what an annuity is and how it works? More than likely, the answer is not many of us. And as I went to school, I learned the proper angle of an isosceles triangle. I still have not used that to pay my bills. And I learned the dominant predator in the Paleolithic era in history class. I still have not figured out why that makes any relevance, but I've never learned about taxes. I never learned about credit. I've never learned how to purchase a home. I never understood how to start a business. I didn't understand what a 401k was. As a matter of fact, I thought a 401k was a marathon. I didn't know what it was. So what if that's you? Where are we going to go to get this information? The financial cornerstones: protection, protect your family, protect your money, growth, safety, and then keep what you have. And we're going to talk about that briefly. Tax advantages. Simply put, make it, keep it, grow it. We're one of the companies that's not asking you for your money. There's a lot of companies out there that are taking your money from you, but we're showing, and that's one of the things I fell in love with. We're helping people save money and put it away for their future. Maybe there's going to be a COVID-20. There will be a COVID-20. Will we be prepared, and will we have saved money for the next crisis that comes along the road? Now, 3 rules of money that we teach folks. One is called how money grows, and this is called the law of compound interest. Albert Einstein popularized it, called it the 8th wonder of the world. And you take the interest rate you're receiving on your money, you divide that into 72, hence the name, the rule of 72. And that's how many years it's going to take your money to double. Let me ask you this: where's the first place that comes to mind where people are taught to save our money? And if you said the bank, more than likely that's the case. And we all know at this figure at 1%, the banks are not paying us 1%. The banks are paying us a fraction of that. But let's say 1%. If I was to put my money in a bank, how can I predict that it's going to grow? 1 goes into 72 times. The money would then double every 72 years. So if a 29-year-old deposits $10,000 and then lets it go, no more money in there, 72 years later at the age of 101, they'll have 20 grand. Now, what are you more excited about? Being 101 years old, having 20 grand, or both? Or none of the above? You get what I'm saying? This is the track that people are headed on. And we get points, a fraction of a percentage when we put our money in the bank. Now, let's say I put my money in a CD, and CDs aren't paying 4%, but they used to. And I heard somebody say CDs stand for certificates of depreciation, because if my interest is not keeping up with inflation, the value on my account is depreciating. Sound pretty smart, huh, for a high school diploma? When you learn about money and it's something that impacts your life, this is something I wanted to study. And so let's say 4%, 4 goes into 72 18 times, the money doubles every 18 years. A 29-year-old deposits 10 grand. Now, 18 years later at 47, the money doubled to 20, and at 65, the money doubled to 40. What are most people thinking about at the age of 65? And retirement would be the answer, but retirement back in my parents' or your grandparents' age used to be an age because they got pensions and maxed out Social Security, or should I say so security back then. Right? Nowadays, it's about a pile of money. And as the pile of money can provide for your quality of life and your standard of living, you are technically retired. I don't even like the word retired because retired sounds like tired. I like the word financially independent. When can I get to a place, ask yourself this question, and would you like to be in a place where no other man, you don't need a government I don't think Nikki needs this stimulus check. You can take that and reroute it to somebody else, because when you make 50 grand yourself, you don't need the government to take care of you. We don't need, you get what I'm saying? So I've always wanted to be independent, and I always wanted to learn how to save money. Now, when I put my money in the bank, what does the bank do with it? I used to watch the cartoons, and they don't keep it in a vault, in a bag. What do? They lend it out to somebody else. Car loans, credit card loans, home loans. They're in the lending business. What's their number one ticket item? Credit cards. An unsuspected college student like me, because I did go to college, and when I went, there was a booth on, and it would be a hot day like today, and they would say, here's an ice cold bottle of water, sign right here. We got free stuff. Free stuff to a college student sticks out, right? Next thing you know, I'm signing up for a 32% interest rate on a credit card. I believe that has been outlawed to do. Now they just get you in student debt, which is the one debt you can never get away with bankruptcy. So now they just do it a different way. But my day, it was credit cards, and I'm paying 32% as a broke college student. You can borrow money from the mafia less than 32%. I didn't understand the rule of 72, and debt works the same way against you. So if I'm hardly making any interest for me and I got debt working against me, the mathematical system is designed for me not to get ahead. 10%. So if they can make 30, 12, 18% on a credit card, they sure can make 10. 10 goes into 72, 7.2 times, we'll just say 7. That's 7 years. Same 29-year-old me that doesn't know anything, I put 10 grand over here, they take it, lend it out to somebody else, and doubling every 7 years, by the time we both get to 65, there's 320 grand for them, and how much is there for me at 4%? 40. So they cut me my $40,000 check. I thought I got ahead because I had the wool pulled over my eyes because nobody ever taught me this. And they made away clean with 280 grand of my money. What if they waited 6 more years? That's 640,000. So let me ask you a question. Would you rather put your money in the bank, or would you rather put your money where the bank puts their money? And I think that's a common sense question. If I can have the next slide. And that right there sold me. I said, you know what? If the worst thing I'm going to get out of this is I'm going to learn what to do with my money, that is worth the time, effort, and the price of whatever I would have to pay. Because how many of us on this panel, on this call, use money? And how many of us are going to use money moving into the future? And how many of us have gained a financial education proven by our net worth increasing every single year? And the answer is probably nobody. And so what if you play a game and you don't know the rules to the game? What are the chances are that you're going to win? Especially when the person that you're playing against actually knows the rules. Hence, the people that want to keep you in debt, the people that want to pay you less money and make their family's financial future wealthier. And if you don't know that, we're going to be a victim. So the second rule of money, so we can teach the rules so we can equal the playing field, is the growth options. There's fixed, variable, and index. Let me briefly explain them. And we can get into details one-on-one consultations. This is just a quick overview and get you back to your families. Fixed. As you see, it looks like a heart monitor. It's a flat line. These are generally not for folks that are in the wealth acquisition or trying to pursue building wealth. This is more for elderly people that have lived their whole life saving money, and now they just want to protect what they have. And I see a lot of kids' college funds in accounts like that, and people who want to grow their money in accounts like that. There's not wrong. You have to know how they work and if they work for you. The next one is variable. It looks like another heart monitor. And this is the stock market. When the stock market goes up, your money goes up. When the stock market crashes, your money goes down, and it becomes an emotional roller coaster. What's going on right now during COVID-19? Our incomes have stopped because we don't leave jobs. Jobs leave us to no fault of our own. You could have been a perfect attendance at work, and all of a sudden a little virus floats around. God, bless anybody who is severely affected in terms of health and family members. Our heart goes out to you. but it's affected everybody on a financial level. And what has it done to the stock market? You've seen in a week or two, 30% gains were wiped out, and it's still suffering and trying to come back. But didn't we see that in 2008? Didn't we see that with 9/11? Doesn't history repeat itself? And have we learned? And should you keep all your eggs in that basket? Well, we can consult with you, find out what your goals are, and make some suggestions. One of the most popular accounts that we've been educating a lot of folks on is called Index, and it becomes a hybrid of the two. It's linked to a stock index. However, when the stock market goes up, your money will go up. But when the stock market crashes, you lock in that gain. So when the stock market goes up, your money goes up. And when the stock market crashes again, you lock in the next gain. Again, I'm maybe not the brightest person in the room, but if somebody presented me, where would you rather have your money? Whichever one seems like it's at a higher amount at the end. And I would recommend you diversify and we don't put all our eggs in one basket. See, a lot of times we give our retirement to our job, and jobs don't have long-term plans for employees, okay? And if we're learning that we can't trust a job with our income, why would we give them our retirement and our financial planning and trust them with our outcome? Again, that makes no sense to me, right? Especially if they have no long-term plan to meet. We need advisors. See, what I found, if I can go to the next slide, if we want to consult with people one-on-one. This is not herd immunity like you hear. This is almost like herd retirement planning. What are your goals? Who cares? 401k. How old are you? Who cares? 401k. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with people saying that this is one thing that everybody needs. I believe we need to sit and consult with people, and then people have a changing need. How many people on this call have a personal relationship and a coaching relationship with a financial professional that knows you and your situation and is guiding you all the way to and through retirement? And my dad retired at 75, not because he didn't work hard, because nobody helped him. When I got into this business, my dad was 66 years old. He should have already retired, and nobody ever came to our house. See, the Merrill Lynch's, great company, the Morgan Stanley's, great companies, but their target market was not me. If you have 100 grand, 200 grand liquid, they're gonna call you. If you got $200 liquid, nobody's gonna call you. This company was the only company that called me when all I had was $100 and $150 a month to save. I didn't have a lump sum, I had a monthly amount, and hopefully I have that same amount next month. And what they taught me was the discipline and the habits of saving, which now made me go from a small saver to a large saver. So let's talk about one of the most important impacts, and that's not what you make, is what you get to take home is what counts. And what are the impact of taxes on your investments? I mean, we pay taxes, we pay tolls, we pay sales taxes, we pay gas taxes, we pay property taxes. Is there any benefit we can have after we've worked our whole life where I can finally have some advantages on this tax burden when I need my money the most? Well, let's talk about that, because most folks, again, we're not educated on that. Tax Now. These are accounts where, like savings accounts, CDs. Every year an account like this, you get a 1099 form. Right around now, you got your 1099, you made $13 in your savings account. We got to send that to the tax man. They got to add that to our income, and we pay taxes every single year on these accounts. So what if I'm in a bank account making no interest and I pay taxes every year on top of that? You're probably going to work to the day you die, my friend, because we're not getting ahead. The long-term, and these are more for short-term. The long-term plans are your 401ks, your IRAs, your fixed annuities, your savings bonds. I'm just going to be brief with it, but with the 401k, they take your money out before you pay taxes. It goes into an investment, and then you pay taxes later when you pull the money out. Because of that, you have something called the 59.5 rule, and that is an age. If you take your money out early prior to that age, you are going to be stuck with taxes and penalties. Right now, during the COVID crisis, if you do that, first off, you're going to be pulling money at a lower balance on top of that, but they're granting you 100 grand just for the goodness of their hearts. They didn't do that in 2008. When a lot of people got laid off in 2008 and the stock market turned their 401ks into 201ks, they suffered penalties because that was all the money on top of the loss in the stock market. And that was all their eggs in one basket because we didn't have the proper coaching. Then you have IRAs, fixed annuities, and savings bonds, very similar approaches. There's also something called a required minimum distribution. When you reach the ripe age of 72, they've just extended the year, which normally is 70. They're going to force you to pull money out because Uncle Sam hasn't taxed you yet. And if you don't take your money out, there's an excise tax to the tune of 50% on top of what you were supposed to pull out And then the other half is now income taxed. Now, let's just say we do it on time. We do it at the traditional retirement age. By the way, people are working into their 70s. That's why they extended it to 72 now, because people are not in retirement at 70 anymore, unfortunately, until they watch this. We're going to give you hope. But what if you pull it out on time, between 59 and the required minimum distribution? What will you pay tax? What will you pay? The answer is taxes. Now, with the bailouts that we had in 2008, with the healthcare crisis that we have going on in our country, with the social security deficit that we have coming up, with the trillions of dollars which we just added on, over $2 trillion now to the stimulus package, who do you think is going to pay for that? Do you think taxes, this is common sense, but whatever the answer is, there is no right or wrong answer. Do you believe, based on all that, taxes in the future are going to be lower, or do you think they're going to be higher? And even a 24-year-old was like, well, based on that, it's probably going to be higher. Where else are they going to get the money from taxpayers? So it doesn't make sense to put my money into an account where I say, don't tax me right now. Hopefully it grows, and just tax me a whole lot more in the future when I need it the most and I can barely work. I don't think so. And so we have some solutions to that. One of those is called the tax advantaged account. And I'm going to be brief, but you have Roth IRAs and you have cash accumulation in an insurance policy. I never really understood life insurance. Never understood I needed. But one of the things I started to find out was that life insurance is about creating generational wealth. And you can make sure the next generation is not as bad as the previous generation, and we can progress forward economically. Also, life insurance, if somebody was to pass away, it's going to make sure that that family is kept whole and the surviving spouse is still doing well. My mom passed away from ALS in the year 2000, and that's one of the reasons my dad retired at 75 years old, because there was no more income coming in, and so he had to cover that burden now, in addition to me. Right? So life insurance also presents a unique opportunity where you can have money for yourself. How many of us thought that there's a policy out there where I can use money for me? It can grow similar to a 401k. It's accessible similar to a savings account, and it protects my family if I pass away, but I get it out tax-free like a Roth IRA. And if the market, what if there was an account where when the stock market goes up, your money goes up? When the stock market crashes, you never lose. You can take it out when you need it. If it's prior to 59 and a half, that's okay. And when you take it out, there's no 1099 and no taxes. And when you pass away, the death benefit goes to your family to create generational wealth, and there's no taxes, income taxes due on that either. Wouldn't that be something that we should, I'm not saying you should throw out the baby with the bathwater and only have that, but wouldn't that be a good use or something to put inside of our portfolio? Is there anything possible that you save too much money when a crisis comes? And when I was in this presentation, I'm like, I don't even have any money. But if they can show me how to make some money, which the next speaker is going to teach you, maybe I can take some of this money and I can actually start to save it. And now 16 years later, I'm doing this presentation. Dirt under my fingernails, had no bank account, lived with my dad, and was going to school for digital animation. And then I seen this, the light bulb went off, and I just hit the ground running. So as I wrap up here, we have a needs analysis. This is the consultation that we provide clients so that we don't do the one-size-fits-all approach. Hopefully you can appreciate that. I show my clients what I have on my own family, what I have on my own life, what I did for my own parents. I like to treat other people the way I'm treated. And if I meet with somebody, and the next speaker, and a lot of these agents, our agents, should I say, we've been trained to teach everybody like we would treat our parents and the accounts that we set up for our parents and our kids. We have a 6-step financial needs analysis. Let me ask you a question. I'm not going to ask this to the men, but if you were to hop in here and drive from California to New York, would you get a GPS? I remember my dad used to have the old maps and all wrinkled and stuff, but he never would ask for directions, and we'd be circling around. And the reason I said I wouldn't ask this to the men, because we're supposed to know where we're going, and a lot of times we act like we know where we're going. But ladies, you know you would. And a lot of the times the ladies are the one that do the financial planning in the household as well. What happens if I don't have a map? I might waste a whole lot of time, I might waste a whole lot of money, and I may never get to my destination. What happens if you don't have a financial needs analysis or a map to your financial goal? Same consequence. You might waste a whole lot of time, you might waste a whole lot of money, and you might never get to your destination. We believe it consists of 6 steps. Number 1 is cash flow, earning additional income, managing expenses. Let me ask you a question. What would an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month do for the average? Not 50 grand like Nikki said. That would have like blew my mind, right? No. What would an extra $1,000 a month do for the average American family right now? You start to get more income, all these other things almost become a non-issue. Number 2, we have an emergency fund. Prepare, this does not say COVID-19, but prepare for an emergency. The water heater breaks, the transmission goes out, not if, but when. Most of the things that we have as an emergency is a little piece of plastic, and it's called credit card, and then we get right back into this vicious cycle again. We have to prepare for an emergency. I don't leave thinking I'm gonna get a flat tire, but I definitely have a spare tire in my car just in case. Number 3, debt management, and that's what we just talked about. Consolidate debt, strive to eliminate debt. Debt is stressful to people. Stress creates, what's the number 1 cause of divorce? Financial difficulties. What's the number 1 cause of disease? Stress. What's the number 1 cause of stress? Money. So some people, when they come to these meetings, they think, man, I've been to one of these things. I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually paid out a life insurance death claim, getting to my next point, proper protection, during the COVID-19 crisis. The young lady lost her job, the young lady struggling, and she had the death of a loved one, and I took a death claim to her of a few $100,000, and we created her own stimulus package. And I didn't know that that was gonna happen, but I know there's always gonna be something down the pipe. So let's talk about proper protection. If you had a money machine, and you can push a button on that money machine and it would produce legal tender for you, AKA cash, would you protect that machine? I think the answer is yes. I think you would have a Rottweiler on one side, you have a pit bull on the other side, you have cameras on the other side, you have cameras watching the cameras, right? Why? Because we value that machine. And when I go across kitchen tables or even a Zoom kitchen table, and I ask a lot of families, how much protection do you have on the money machine of this family? Which nowadays it's 2 people, it's the husband and the wife. A long time ago, it used to just be 1. How much protection do you have on the money machine of this family? I start to hear the crickets chirping. I got a little coverage at work. I got a little policy. I don't know. If you don't know where it is, your beneficiaries don't know where it is. If you don't know how much, the insurance companies aren't going to come knocking on your door. You got to file a claim. We need to start getting, in the words of Dan Charlier of Sophia, we need to get our stuff together. Next is build wealth. We talked about that, saving money, outpacing inflation, reducing taxes, and professional money management. And then last but not least, preserving everything you just built. If I'm gonna build a company, I wanna make sure I pass it on to the next generation. If I'm gonna save and build a net worth, I wanna make sure I pass it on to the next generation. I don't want the attorneys to get on and bleed my investments at these courthouses. I don't want probate to kick in. I don't want IRS coming and grabbing and having his hand on it. I wanna prepare, because the only 2 things guaranteed in life are death and taxes. And so we need to prepare for that. We want to reduce taxation and build a family legacy. And we can help you with that. Again, I just kept it very brief. I want to bring up the next speaker. With no further ado, I have great honor. This is the guy that when I came to the company, I didn't see many folks that really I could relate to. I did see a few, and one was his mentor, and the lineage continues. And I seen Dan and I thought, man, this guy's speaking to me. This guy's confident. He's on stage, man. I don't even know if I don't even like saying hi to one person, let alone speak in front of a stage. But when I seen him and I seen the person he became, I realized we can all do this because we're works in progress. And Dan's one of the guys that my wife and I were talking. I just think he just lives a life of peace. He's happy. And money does not make you happiness, but doing unto others and giving unto others and making an impact in their life makes you happy. And I want to let you guys know this gentleman has offices all around the United States. He's made an impact in lives he didn't even know he made an impact in. And as Nikki brought him up, she says he's not a millionaire. He makes $1 million, well over $1 million per year. And I had never graced the presence of anybody like that prior to this company. So appreciate your associations, Dan. Take us home and show us what you saw that compelled you to get started. Thank you very much.
First of all, awesome job, Paul. Every time I listen to you, I get so fired up. Just listen you articulate, our company's message, the credibility of the company, and the crusade of what we do for families is such an awesome. You have such a gift. It's amazing to me that at one point that public speaking, you had a fear of public speaking. And now you're one of the greatest public speakers in our company. And so many people enjoy the way that you can articulate a message, but more important, people can identify with your message. They can see themselves as you're communicating that message. So that's a great art. And you also have a beautiful family. And you're a great example of a local success of people in the community. We need to have more people like you, more families like you. You're now the guy with the robe in the middle of the day with some juice and paper underneath your arm, walking in, and people are driving by your house, looking at you and wondering what is it that you're doing. And tonight, what's awesome about it is we get a chance to give back. We get a chance to share the opportunity where people can identify with like-minded people. Like, we come from where they come from. We understand their language. And it's awesome when we get a chance to participate where we're not only we're making a difference, but we're fixing an indifference. And one of the things that I want to be clear with you, some of the concepts that Paul was talking about, I want you to think about this from a scale of 1 to 10. How motivated are you to become financially independent and debt-free, right? So if that's a 10, mathematically, it's impossible for you to become financially independent if you don't know the rules of the game. So I've been here for 22 years. I have a background in the Marine Corps. I spent 13 years with the Marines. 5 of those years were special duty, where I spent 2 years as a Marine Corps drone instructor. I spent another 2 years as the 23rd Color Sergeant Marine Corps, which I carried the colors for the president. And I spent a year as a platoon sergeant for the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. But my original job in the military was aircraft rescue. I was a firefighter. And up top, you get a chance to see all those pictures. So when I got started here in 1998, and I saw this opportunity for the first time, I was so excited because, 1, I saw a great opportunity. 2, I found a mentor. My mentor was making about $50,000 a month. I was making about $3,000 a month. And I got started because I wanted to make an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month to be able to take the financial pressure off my mom. So when I looked at this platform, first of all, it cost me $100 to get started here. So I had no financial service experience necessary. I knew nothing about anything that Paul talked about. And I'm so glad that this opportunity was still given to me, was still presented to me, and I was smart enough to take action on it. I was able to start on a part-time basis. I didn't have to leave my military career. There's no time clock here. We're 1099, we're independent contractors. We control our income, which is there's unlimited earning potential here. And you just heard from Nikki Cannon. Nikki Cannon's averaging $40,000 to $50,000 a month. You just heard from Paul. Paul's averaging anywhere between $65,000 to $75,000 a month, which is awesome. We've got leadership development and mentoring business model. You've got leaders, you've got local leaders that are willing to mentor you, and they have a vested interest in your success. So if you can help enough people get what they want, you automatically get what you want. You got strength on your side, the power of choice. Business expansion, which means that we're licensed to do business in all 50 states, including Canada and Puerto Rico. We've got a system here. You know, I'm in my home office right now, and if you look at this right here, this is our business format system. So one of the things when I first got started here, you know, there's a saying that says, if you want to keep a secret, put it in a book. One of my mentors told me, he says, Charlier, read the book. Everything you need to know is in the book. So we have a system, just like McDonald's has a system. There's equal opportunity for all. We have a diversified field force. We grow and serve the underserved market. So our market is the 80% of the population. You take a look at LA County, for example. LA County has 9.8 million people. The average median income is $56,000 a year. The IRS put out a publication. They said 93% of the population makes less than $100,000 a year, and 50% of that 93% makes less than $28,000 a year. That's our market. That's who we serve. Now, if you make a lot of money, if you're making $250,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, or a couple $1 million a year, this is a great opportunity for you too. We've got the financial needs analysis, affiliated company, world-class recognition and events. I remember the first time I went to my annual convention. in Las Vegas. There was over 20,000 people there. And I felt like I was at the Academy Awards. I saw all the winners on stage being recognized, their families and their kids there. And I said, man, this is a movement. This is something I want to be a part of. But more importantly, I want to be on that stage. Technology and business tools. You get a chance to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. I think about how grateful I am that in 1998, when I first saw this opportunity, man, I didn't have to write a check for $30,000 or $100,000 or a couple of $1 million. If I had to, I wouldn't have been able to do this opportunity. I just had to have $100 to get started here. So when you take a look at our compensation, we have multiple streams of income here. Right? So you have personal income when you sit down and you educate families, just like Paul just did for you guys. You do a financial needs analysis, you get personal income. You have agency income. If you build a business, you have expansion income, which means that we're licensed to do business in all 50 states. You got bonus income, which you get a chance to participate in multiple bonuses on a monthly basis, which is awesome. You have recurring income, which is residual income because you're dealing with insurance and investment-based products. Now, if you're a broker with us, we have promotion guidelines that allows you to move through the ranks to get your promotions as fast as you can. I became a senior marketing director within my first 90 days. I saw the promotion guidelines, pretty competitive, and went after it and got it. If you're a broker with us and you have a life and securities license, the average broker, keep in mind, we have over 80,000 agents in our organization. The average broker with us makes $64,000 a year of 1099 income. That's just an average broker. You're not a big player. You're not a Paul Hart. You're not a Nikki Cannon. But if you're a player in that area, you're making $1 million a year. If you're a broker and you have your life, security, and advisory license, the average broker there makes about $86,000 a year. If you're a player in that arena, you're making $1 million a year. If you're an executive marketing director like Nikki Canning, she's an executive marketing director. She's got some leadership skills. She promoted some leaders. If you're an executive marketing director, the average executive marketing director is making about $193,000 a year. If you're a player in that arena, you're making about $2 million a year. If you're a CEO with us, right? If you're a CEO with us, the average CEO makes $350,000 a year. If you're a player in that arena, you're making 2.9. If you're executive vice chairman like Paul Hart, the average executive vice chairman is making $823,000 a year. If you're a player in that arena, you're making an 8-figure income, which is awesome, right? So when I first saw that, I said, man, I got an opportunity at the big time. I can live my dream. I can own my own company and own my own business. Man, I was so excited about that. If you move to the next page. So if you look at one of the things that I just shared with you guys, you have the ability to build your own brand. So for me, Paul Hart has his own brand with his company. My brand is Synergy Financial. These are all the different leaders in Synergy Financial that are 6-figure plus earners all the way up to $1 million a year. See, these stories here are all different people from all walks of life. Average, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Let me share with you a couple of pictures here. If you take a look at Nikki Cannon, Nikki and Kermit Cannon, you heard from her earlier today. Nikki graduated USC, worked with Monster.com as the director of sales and marketing, transitioned into entrepreneurship within Synergy Financial with WFG. Kermit is a strength and conditioning coach, author of The Beast Factory, and a huge supporter of his wife. They're earning over $250,000 a year, building a nationwide business helping families. So they came from totally different backgrounds. Now they're leaders. Then you have DeJuan Cofield. DeJuan Cofield, senior marketing director with us. DeJuan used to play football for the NFL, for the 49ers, worked as a special education teacher, becoming an entrepreneur. He's based out of San Jose, California, earning over $250,000 a year with Team Pinnacle out there in Northern California. Then you have Leland Rubin, executive marketing director. Leland received his MBA in finance and worked in corporate America as a senior consultant, becoming an entrepreneur. Leland, he's based out of San Jose, California, earning over $500,000 a year. This guy was already making $200,000 a year in corporate America. And listen to this, you guys, part-time, right? Because he's married and he's got 5 kids. part-time with WFG. He was making $250,000 a year part-time before he left his corporate job. And now he's an entrepreneur building his own business. And he just went over $600,000 a year. Then you have Levi. I got a chance to hear Levi's story not too long ago. Levi is originally from Cameroon, Africa, and moved to the States to become become a registered nurse. Transitioned to running his own financial service firm, making 10 times his annual income. He went from making $80,000 a year, you guys, to now he's in Maryland making over $800,000 a year, and he's been in our business for a little less than 3 years. So amazing stories. Here's what all these people have in common. They're average, ordinary people, but what makes them extraordinary is they had an opportunity. They had an opportunity and they had a leader that believed in them more than they believed in themselves, which is awesome. So there's 3 types of people that are looking at this opportunity as we're closing tonight. Some of you are looking at the opportunity. You're already financially independent, but you said, man, you saw some of the things that we do for the consumer. Maybe you have a 401k, a 403b, an IRA, a deferred comp. Maybe you have a couple of life insurance policies, an emergency account, and college education for your kids. You own a home and you want to know what your options are. One of the beautiful things with our company is that we're able to provide that financial needs analysis complimentary for free. And the only thing that we ask, if we could provide service for you, if we provide the education, that you introduce us to 5 to 10 people that we can help the same way that we helped you. The other person that's looking at it is you're looking at it part-time, kind of like myself, kind of like Levi, kind of like Nikki and all the other leaders. I wasn't looking to leave the military. I loved being a Marine. I was going to be in a Marine for 25 to 30 years, but I wanted to make extra income. I wanted to do something part-time. I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. I wanted to compete. I wanted to be around people that were winning. I wanted to feel alive again. I wanted to be challenged, right? So I started part-time here. Right? And you can earn while you learn. So if you got a full-time job or you've been laid off or you want to make an additional $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, you can here. You could start on a part-time basis. Then some of you are entrepreneurs. You're the person right now, you're sitting on a couple of $1 million. You're thinking about buying a franchise. You're thinking about buying a McDonald's, or maybe you're thinking about buying a building, or maybe you're thinking about going into real estate. And you're looking at this opportunity. You're saying, well, wait a minute, Charlier, you mean to tell me I can build a team here? I'm going to have override income. I can leverage and I can have my time. I've got cash flow here and I don't have to invest a couple of $100,000 or a couple of $1 million to do that, like some of the top leaders that you've got a chance to see today. So then we have a full-time opportunity here too. A lot of people start full-time. So as you see the business presentation review, this is what we want you to fill out. I'm interested in learning about financial solutions. If that applies to you, we want you to check that off. I'm interested in starting a part-time career. If that applies to you, we want you to check that off. Or both of the above. If both of the above apply to you, then we want you to check that off. Those of you that are brand new, that are looking at the opportunity for the first time, whether you were on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or someone personally invited you, the person that invited you, or if someone did invite you, you went to, for example, Paul Hart's Instagram and you saw it, or you went to Dewan Cofield's Instagram and you saw it, we want you to either DM those leaders and said, hey, I saw this presentation. I'm interested in the opportunity. Here's the best way to get in contact with me. And one of our leaders will get in contact with you and you'll give you an opportunity for you to interview. We'll be doing interviews tonight and we'll be doing interviews tomorrow, which will be awesome. The interview, we get a chance to find out a little bit more about you to see if there's a fit. And today was a general corporate overview, which means you're gonna have some questions. But there's 3 questions that should have been answered for you tonight. 1, is this a credible company? That was answered. 2, is there a crusade? What is it specifically that we do? That was answered. 3, is there an opportunity for me to make part-time income or for me to make full-time income? And that was answered for you guys. Thank you guys. Have a great evening. We will keep you updated on the next business presentation meeting. And we also will be doing training for Opportunity Zone. Thank you guys. Have a great evening.